So apparently there's this new trend on YouTube to make every possible 2D game 3D. So I decided to do that with my very first game named Spin. Now if you've never played Spin before, which would be really hard to believe because it was such a massive hit, then I'll explain the game to you. Basically, the entire game is that you're a ball that spins around another ball, and there's these big hexagons that shrink down, and you have to go through the missing side on them, and of course, if you miss, the game starts over. It's an extremely simple game, and I think it's important to mention that I originally got the idea for the game from Bracky's video Making a Game in 10 Minutes. And he originally got the idea from a game called Super Hexagon. So I opened Unity and created a new project named Spin 3D. And then I proceeded to wait for Unity to load for an hour. And now that Unity is loaded, I was looking at the blank project and I realized, wow, I've never made a 3D game before. So I was at a complete loss at what to do first. So I decided that I would start with the first thing that all great projects start out with. No, it's not a bean. It's a circle and another circle, and they're black, except for the middle one is transparent. Now this is exactly the same as the original game. The outside ball is the player and the middle ball is just so you know where you're rotating around. Now that I have two balls, I decided that I should start making the hexagons. Now, I've never 3D modeled before and I'm not planning on changing that today. So I decided to download a tool called ProBuilder. And I realized I have no clue what I'm doing. After I messed around with it for a little while, I discovered that you can make an arch and tell it how many sides to have. This was perfect because I can tell it to have the exact same amount of sides as a hexagon. Now that I have all the 3D objects, I decided that I should probably actually make it into a game and not just two balls and a hexagon chilling. So the first idea I had was to literally go to the original game files and yoink the code from that. Now, I did not expect that to work at all, but I was proven wrong this time. It actually worked, but the only problem was that the balls and hexagons were rotating up and down instead of horizontally. After some fiddling around, I got the player to rotate the correct way fairly easily, but it took a mildly infuriating 30 minutes to get the hexagon to rotate correctly. Now that I got it rotating correctly, I added a spawner that I totally did not steal from the original project that constantly spawns them. I also changed the position of the camera so that you can see them coming sooner. Do you know what also I can see coming sooner? Your subscription to my channel. Subscribe and like the video if you're liking the video, and comment if you have any more video ideas, cause God knows I need them. And yeah, back to the video. Next, I started on a health system. So how the original game worked is whenever you hit a hexagon, the game would start completely over. Now that's great and all, but I want to improve it. So I decided that I would give the player 5 lives, and whenever you run out of them, the game starts over. So I started coding the live system and I got it to work. But it felt like it was a bit hard to tell when you hit a hexagon. So I decided to add some camera shake, and I think it feels way better. Now that I had the health system done, the game felt way better than the original, but there was still some stuff I wanted to add. One thing that I added was a green hexagon that spawns every once in a while, and what it does is whenever you hit it, you gain a life. I think this makes the game feel a lot better because it adds a lot more life into the game. Another thing I wanted to add was some coins, but of course it would be really hard to put coins in this. So I decided I would make some gold hexagons that are just like the green ones, but instead of lives when you hit them, you gain gold hexagons. Now if you've played the original game, then you know there's several different levels and they all have different levels of difficulty. Now that's great, but this time I want to try something different. So the thing I want to try is a difficulty ramp. So how that works is the longer you're in the level, the more hexagons will spawn. I think this is a lot better because it lets you slowly get used to the difficulty instead of just being thrown into a level and just immediately dying. Now that I have all the mechanics done, I think it's time to make the game look a little bit better. What I started out with was some skyboxes from the asset store, but for some reason I could not get them to look good. The problem seems to be that they just had way too much detail, so I went to the asset store again and found some space ones. I put those in there and they fit the game way better than before, and I also made a couple different levels with different skyboxes, and I actually liked them quite a bit. The next thing I needed to add was some post-processing. I already had the idea in my head that I wanted the game to look like an old CRT TV. So I imported the post-processing pack and got to work. The first thing I added was some bloom. Then I added some lens distortion to get that popping out effect like a CRT. Then I got some vignette to add rounded corners and also clean up some of that lens distortion on the edge of the screen. And then finally I added some grain and some ambient occlusion to pull the rest of the scene together. I like this a lot and I definitely think I nailed the CRT feel. Next I needed to make a main menu so you can actually select the level you want to play. I wanted to have a space background for the main menu, but I could not get it to look right. So I decided to go for the OG purple color as the background instead. I also recreated the old button style of the game and I added a bit of flair to the text. For the level select menu, I did not want to go with the old style because that was just plain awful. So I decided to go with the screenshot image button style instead. This is nice because A, you don't have to scroll through 100 different levels, and B, you can see what style of level it is. There's also a settings menu which, well, has settings. And for the settings, I totally did not just copy an old script or anything. After that, I decided I needed to make a pause menu. I decided to basically just rip off the old one, but with the new buttons, and I also changed the size of the buttons to spice things up a little bit. Next is music. So a big part of the old game was the music. So I dug up all the old music and added it to the game. I also added a few new songs, mainly MDK. And when I was adding the music and hooking it up to the volume slider, I also added a new toggle. The name is the PP toggle. So now you can turn on and off post-processing. What were you thinking, man? Of course it's post-processing. What else would it be? Next, I'm gonna add unlockable levels. The reason I'm doing this is because I have these gold hexagons that currently do nothing at the moment, and I want to add a little bit of a goal to the game. And I only made them cost 2 gold because I don't want it to be a grind to unlock all the levels. The last major thing I added is 4 more levels. They're all space levels because I just think that fits the game the best. So here's the final product on how the game turned out. So thank you for watching. I may update the game if you guys want me to. If so, tell me on the GameJolt or itch.io page, or just in the comment section too. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any other video ideas, tell me in the comments, that'd be greatly appreciated. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!